IBS Messenger has the important role of delivering the information of all the notices, events, placements, internships, and other announcements to all the students within the campus and with a high level of accuracy in real time. We also act as a digital media platform for the entire campus by promoting events and sharing important academic updates by closely working with the academic department of IBS Hyderabad through a non-conventional digital medium.
On behalf of the club, I would like to thank Dr. Shailajan Sir, Dean Academics, IBS Hyderabad, for his continuous support and making this event possible. We request you, sir, to please speak a few words to our audience. Yes, sir is facing some network issue. I would also like to thank Professor Madhvi Garikaparthi ma'am. I would also like to thank Professor Madhvi Garikaparthi ma'am, Coordinator of Student Activities, IBS Hyderabad, for her tremendous support and encouragement in all our activities. We would also like to thank Professor G.K. Shrikant sir of the Marketing Department for joining us today. I would like to request sir to please come up on the stage for a few words.
Thank you, friends. Thank you, friends. Thank you, IBS Messenger community. Thank you to all the IBS fraternity for sending me an invitation to attend this event. Friends, all the events which are conducted by different clubs in IBS is meant for intellectual knowledge, wisdom, enhancement of every participant. So whether it's IBS Messenger Club or any other club which does any activity for IFHE University, please take this as an opportunity because it is being supported by our management, right from Dean Shailajan, Professor Shailajan to Student Coordinator, Professor Madhavi ma'am, and few of the faculties who would like to be associated with any event which is happening in the IFHE University. So message number one, friends, to all of you here is take the wisdom, take the knowledge, take the value of every corporate guest, industry guest, and academic guest who is being associated with us and sharing their precious time with us. First message. Message number two I'm giving messages because this is IBS Messenger Club. So message number two, friends, is make sure you work upon the thoughts and the action which is being proposed by the guest speaker in the process of conversation. And since you hold the recording also, you can always go back and replay it and make sure that you follow the principles which they propose to us. And the third thing is make sure IBS Messenger Club takes this message through the support of all the clubs, take this message across to within the university, outside the university, within the country, outside the country, and take it global and make sure that your club is known, your university is known, and everybody associated with that, and everybody associated with IFHE University and every club which is associated within the university gets a brand value at the end of the day. But make sure, take the wisdom of the guest whom we invite, and we thank especially all the guests who are supporting us by sparing their precious time and giving us words of wisdom, knowledge, and their experiential learning. So I wish IBS Messenger all the best. Thank you very much. And I would be participating in every event of IBS Messenger. Thank you very much, friends. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We also have Madhvi ma'am with us here today. So ma'am, would you please come up on the stage for a few words? And any activity of IBS Messenger is incomplete without our respected club mentor, Madhusudan Rao sir, Joint Registrar, IFH University. Sir also handles the student service department, which helps the students in solving all their problems and answering all their queries.
So we would like to thank you for being the backbone of IBS Messenger and having faith in us. We would also like to welcome Mr. Komanduri S. Venugopal for his presence in this guest lecture. Before we begin, I request all the participants to please follow the general instructions. Please keep your cameras on and microphones on mute. For any questions, please feel free to use the chat box.
He is an alumnus of ITM University. He is the head of business newcomers at Reliance Jio Infocom Limited. He is here to share his thoughts with us on the topic innovation within the organization. Now, I would like to hand over the stage to our guest to take the audience through his inspiring journey. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, friends. Good connecting with a host of you people. It was nice of Mr. Srikanth to set the ball rolling. So before, just would like to set a couple of things. A little over 3 decades ago, I was on the same side as all of you are today, but with far lesser tools than what you guys are endowed with today. When we did our masters in various programs, the world was very different. As you know, I thought while I'll be speaking and dwelling on the topic of innovation and the necessity of the same within the organization in the current context, but also thought it would be appropriate to share a few of my learnings over the last 35 years in the corporate space, spanning multiple industries. I worked with FMCG of foreign origin, consulting, as well as Indian corporations. So I have seen many facets of the economy as it's been evolving. But we are, especially today, at the threshold of a make or break event. There's a Thai saying which says, experience is a comb which nature gives a man when he goes bald. And as I am balding and ready to hand over the baton to many youngsters, I thought I'll hand over my comb to you guys today. So one of the things today, what you see, the organizations, not only because of the pandemic, but for many reasons, the entire landscape is changing. If you have seen one of the Black Swan events, which was the 2008 collapse of the LBO market in the US, from there, what all events which it set in motion, we are seeing certain multiplier effects today. So do we need to really innovate? Why do we have to innovate? And how do we innovate? So in this world today, there are many issues which are impacting people, processes, and jobs. Downsizing has become a way of life. What is the acute challenge you guys will face as you head out to take on responsibilities in the next few weeks or months or years, which I'm not very sure whether you're the first year or the second year batch. So today, stagnation across established industries, as well as the challenges of growth are dampeners. In order to grow and win, you need transformative innovation across products, services, processes, and thought. And thought leadership is easier said than done. So what are the challenges for a company to pursue a transformative, innovation agenda? So what has happened today in the last decade after 2008? Many industries have downsized. They have reorganized over smaller teams. They're geographically dispersed. And these are the three major tectonic shifts which have happened. So how have these impacted many organizations, at least in the Indian landscape? So one, it has reduced the ideation capability. with fewer people because more productivity is demanded from fewer resources. More often than not, across the globe, other than a few, it has been very, very ambiguous in terms of innovation management. Innovation is not something which happens on its own. It is a deliberate process which takes humongous effort in terms of nurturing it. And more important today is there is a deteriorating work relationship which is happening across functions. So when R&D, engineering, and design, three critical elements of manufacturing, get disassociated from the mainstream of the business, what happens is not seen immediately. The ramifications of that are felt over a much longer period of time. So I'm sure most of you guys must be familiar with iconic brands, be it Kodak, be it Nokia, Xerox, or the Hummer, BlackBerry. I can go on. I think the list is huge. It also includes currently what IBM, JCPenney or Sears or Motorola or Hitachi. What happened to all these organizations? Why did they go to sea? Question yourself. They were all leaders. They were all established in terms of top line as well as bottom line. All of these companies have been in existence for well over 4.5, 5 decades. But the key thing is they refused to change. They didn't see the necessity to change, nor were they in tune and in sync with the market as well as aspirations. Today, if you see what is happening, one of the things is India as such is racing to catch up. From a number 8 economy less than 6 years ago, we are now number 7, and we are rushing to touch 6. And if a host of measures, including structural reforms, happen, I think between 2033 to 34 is what most of the central bankers across the globe, including the IMF, are predicting that India would become the 3rd largest economy, which should be crossing $5 trillion in as early as 28 to 29. So are you prepared for that? What does it take to make it happen and to be in an economy which is racing to the top? There are a number of skill sets which business schools need to start imparting, as well as developing certain perspectives for all of you people. So now let's come to the others. I think a very often heard thing is the FANG today. What is it? Facebook, Apple, Alphabet, Amazon, of course, Netflix, and Google. Now, to the same list, Microsoft and Tesla have also been added. If you were to step outside of the US, Huawei from China, Pfizer in the pharma space, in Dell and Cisco in manufacturing, Nike is now coming, running. All of these companies are doing certain things very radically different. And what is it which is catapulting them to a place of eminence? I think, if you start looking at this, each of them have started working on the organization which is today supporting a culture of growth, a culture of dissonance, a culture of constructive collaboration, as well as an ability to start working right. They're flattening hierarchies. Today, it's no longer a vertical structure. If look at the demographics, what is happening? There have been many, many changes. See, other things is, just as I said, what are the current realities? Today's workplace, courtesy the last year and a half of work from home, is seeing a major transition from regular processes to every large organization becoming very agile and a recursive methodology being followed at work. To a lot of baby boomers, people of my generation are retiring. A lot of Gen Y is coming in. Gen Y has no loyalties, no baggage, and are willing to experiment. They are not risk averse. They are more adaptive and adaptive, and they are extremely nimble-footed. So while each of these is an advantage in itself, if it's not used very constructively, it can have very disastrous consequences. So the disruption across the technological space in every single element of life is becoming the new norm. And black swan events, which were documented as happening once in a generation, today are happening at the rate of almost twice or thrice. If you look at any industry and start dissecting how it's happening, black swan events are becoming the norm of life, and they are happening at a very, very increasing space and span. So one of the things, what I thought, I think most of you guys, I'm sure, love comics. If you have seen Calvin and Hobbes, one of the things which struck in my mind when many years ago I used to be a very avid fan of comics. There were a couple of them. One of the things which is pertaining and relevant to today's topic, Calvin asks Hobbes, saying, do you have any noteworthy ideas for innovation? He says, I'm waiting for an inspiration, and then goes on to say that creativity doesn't happen out of a faucet, and you need to have the right mood for it. And when it asks, what is the right mood? The answer is last minute panic. That's very, very true for many of our industries. They are not innovating ahead of the curve. Rather than, becoming a victim of circumstances, they are not defining and deciding in the industry and a niche where they can be with their current capabilities. When current capabilities are not being built on and people take it easy, it's what has happened is more like what I mentioned. A lot of iconic brands are thrown out of the window. They just remain mere brands. It's today what, because as I said, the current generation has very little time, very little brand loyalty. It's much more easier for a brand to go to dust. And one of the major elements in a balance sheet today, if you see in terms of valuation, currently what is happening today, we are living in an age of platforms which are defining the world. If you have been following the financial markets for the last couple of years, more so typically during what this last 1.5 years tenure, what has happened? Platform companies have come out with certain valuations which have put all established manufacturing players and many current big brands way beyond in terms of balance sheets, be it geo platforms, be it Nycard, which I listed a couple of days ago, or the Paytms of the world, or Tarsons. You look at any industry across, the new age companies are becoming nimble-footed. They are asset light. They are idea heavy. And so what this requires, the innovations which they are bringing in is they are going closer to the customer. They have their ear to the ground, heart on the customer's chest, literally, and they are able to capture every single beat and understand what the customer wants. Today, courtesy the use of technology, they're able to predict what the customer likes. As I said, today, the age of technology, if you look at what is defining the movement, you have blockchain, you have artificial intelligence, you have machine learning, you have robotics, nanotechnology, and cloud. All of these together, when used, are a very potent combination. One side, while definitely there is nothing called privacy anymore, every single movement, every single click defines your personality today. You are no longer a name. You have become, bits and bytes in the realm of the cloud. So that's unfortunate reality, and that's where innovation is leading. Productivity is going up. Your choices are going up manyfold. But where do we go and how do we use it better? There are areas like healthcare where we are making use of innovation extremely well. And there are certain areas where, in terms of security, surveillance, there are countries, there are cities which are taking it a little bit too far. There are technologies like facial recognition, IR, AR, VR, and all of these which are being put to use. They are being tested right under your nose in Hyderabad as we are speaking. So when the optic fiber backbone, the digital backbone has become the guiding force of the economy today, it is not the GDP. It's literally the number of miles of fiber which is under the ground is deciding which country catapults to the first place. That's what has taken China, as of you followed the news, China has overtaken US as the world's richest nation. It's not just because of their manufacturing clout as well as their financial clout, but name any industry today, they are beating many of the top 7 follow. And countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, and Thailand are the next ones which are now emerging as the China +1, the new manufacturing hubs, and which are taking up. Their economies are multiplying by a factor of anywhere between 8 and 14. So what has made it happen? It's sheer application of talent, understanding how to use and where to innovate. Now, before I spend a little time on innovation, I thought I'd like to share a few of my experiences. One, I wanted to tell you it is very important to seek out grassroots level experience. When I graduated at top of my B school more than 3 decades ago, I had the fortune of being mentored by none other than Dr. Kurian himself. So I had worked extremely closely with Dr. Kurian. Even during my school time, I was part of his core team which launched Dhara, the first Indian oil in Tetra Pak. And the sort of learning which we could get from him, I don't think any of the professors in any of the IIMs today had the capability of bringing his sort of a wisdom and instilling a value-based system within each of us. Post my graduation, when I became the first brand manager for Dhara, I realized that, what is a brand about? I thought I'd be heading it, looking after its production planning, deciding the budgets, what to do and when to do. Then I realized, within a few weeks that without the signature of many seniors, I couldn't even move a pen or a pencil or a pin. Forget about taking charge. So, and that's when, Mr. Bakshi, who was the managing director of Amul, I met him and said, as a brand manager, don't you think I can take greater responsibilities? He said, yes, come down with me, and took me down on a market visit. He said that, made me work, starting from villages where there's not even a bus stand, and where we had to sleep in shanties, forget about hotels. And from where each of the learnings which we got from them in terms of, I hated sales, let me be blunt. Then when I realized one of my IIT batchmates, when he saw me there, I would have died 1,000 deaths. Then he was mentioning, I thought you were a brand manager. What are you doing in this village? So then I realized, there's nothing wrong in being humble. My sincere advice to each one of you would be to not to be averse to doing nail dirtying, collar soiling, as well as wearing off your shoes. Do as much as you can and learn that there is a dignity in every single task which you do, and every single task which you do which will come in handy when you climb up the corporate ladder. So there's nothing like which is below one's so-called dignity. Second one, what I learned the hard way was we need to deserve many a thing before we desire. As I had said, I thought I was ready for leading initially the brand, later on a part of the organization. Then it struck on me. There were many people who said that, yes, yeah, you may have, or what, the exact word, what was told to me by one of my erstwhile bosses is, the perception as well as the reality, both are right. So your perception that you have the ability to lead is right, but the reality is also there, but it's radically different from what you perceive. He put it in a very, very fine way. So before we are ready to learn, what he mentioned was, okay, you're a brand manager for Dhara. I'll hand over full responsibility for all the 30 production units across the country the day you know more about this than anybody in the organization. Then be it in terms of composition, what goes into packaging, what goes into manufacturing, every single component of the distribution cost, and man management. Oh, I said, yeah, it may take me a decade to learn every single element, and I'm not willing to wait for a decade to become a leader. So then I realized, it helps that, we need to deserve before we desire. More important is why I'll come back to link each of these, how they are becomes very critical when you're leading teams and help them innovate. The third lesson which I learned was play to win, but play fairly. Life is very, very competitive and everybody plays to win. But winning cannot be at any cost. There is a value-based winning, and if you win at any cost, you will never have the satisfaction or the fulfillment that you have done a good job. I always am very fond of the P.D. Coubertin trophy, which got instituted in the year I was born, 1964, the founder of modern Olympics. Two things which always keep coming to mind was in the first Brussels Olympics, there was this tennis match which was happening between a Hungarian player and an American. When the Hungarian went and requested the judge to give his, the competing fellowman from the US some time because he was suffering from cramps. There can't be a better display of sportsmanship. Similarly, in the London Olympics, the kayaking event, which is a 3-hour event, the Danish team was leading and the English team was following them. When they came in and finally they stopped and helped disentangle them because the boat got stuck in a couple of weeds. Ultimately, the Danish team won by precisely 1.2 seconds. But see, this is the spirit of sportsmanship. If we show this sort of a collaboration and helping each other, see, everyone, the strength of an organization depends on the weakest link in the chain. None of you will be working in isolation. Every one of you will be part of a team to start with before you climb. Or I'm sure there are many leaders who will venture out, who have the entrepreneurial spirit and will want to do something on your own and start. But irrespective of that, when you have people working for you, you got to work and develop their strengths and ensure that everybody comes onto the same page to deliver. Then the fourth lesson is you have to ensure that everybody enjoys whatever they do. It's easier said than done. Many of my bosses have always said that there is no greater fun than work. And we always excel in fields where we truly enjoy. But does everybody enjoy what they're doing? I can bet my bottom dollar and say that 85% of the people find that what they do is a chore and not a task they enjoy. As a leader, each one of you has to make everybody enjoy what they are doing, however tough the situation it is or however distasteful the task is, and in the process, make them enjoy what they are doing and make them contribute, collaborate, and add value to the project. Then you will see that, there's a multiplier effect which comes in, and there is no organization which can falter or not win at all. So the critical thing here is we have this uncanny habit of becoming extremely serious as we start donning more responsibilities, more laurels which will keep coming your way. All of you will keep growing. Yes, good. It's good to be serious, but not so serious as that you lose a sense of humor about yourself. Always learn to laugh at yourself. Be accessible. Enjoy what you're doing. And when you have a sense of humor, and you are approachable, you will see that you will become a magnet and you'll be able to get people around you and get them to do very, very tough tasks. So never ever lose this sense of humor. However tough a situation may be, whatever be the deadline, and life is all about deadlines, but my earnest request is, don't be a deadpan, ever. Enjoy life. Most important, always be passionate about your health. As we get older, in the initial stages, what I have seen is many of my fellow workers and colleagues who were sportsmen stopped playing sports, who were teetotalers became alcoholics, who were light smokers became chain smokers, and people who were very active became very, sedate and refused to move up. This takes a toll on our life. Whatever it is, never ever lose sight that, it is your health which will dictate the pace of your life. The more healthy you are, the more you can contribute. And it's unfortunately, many of us realize it's a little too late in the day. Whatever it is, the only person across who can help you is yourself. Nobody, not your boss, not your family, not anybody. When it comes to your health, none other than you can take care of it. So your health is something like, what I believe is like your bank balance. It is in your hands. Either you can maintain it and allow it to grow, or, you can ensure that you take a series of steps and ensure value destruction. The choice is yours. And unfortunately, many of us embark on the wrong path. The penalty we pay for this is extremely high in later years. And when the time comes for you to use all your experience to become the most important leader in the organization, your health fails you. Don't ever become a victim of that. Next one is, direction is more important than distance. The path you embark upon, the way you would like to do things, is extremely critical. Remember that each one of you are going to become brands and are going to make ICFI proud. You are not individuals. When you see that each one of you is a brand in the making, what you will add value to each of the endeavors, wherever, in whichever sphere of life you would like to do, then you will realize that the direction you take is far more important than the distance you cover. There'll always be ups and downs in life. There'll always be times when things don't work out the way you would like them to. Never give up. Keep in mind, there is only one thing which will help. It's always relationships and friendships. This 2 years you spend in ICFI, be it offline or online, today we have enough avenues and opportunities to create many sorts of groups and virtual friendships, and leverage upon that and build on your strengths to create value for yourself as well as to the community and the organization. Networking is key. No one is less important than the other. Here, keep in mind that when you are a brand, you are used, adored, as well as, become a role model for many people. The moment you decide that you'll become inapproachable or you'll be very, very less accessible, I think you are sowing the seeds of your own destruction. I remember, when I was a child, this was in 1970. I remember a very memorable film by Frank Capra. It stayed, the stars were James Stewart and Donna Reed. The name of the movie was It's a Wonderful Life. It's about a man who gets frustrated with work and then he decides to commit suicide. It's all about, how there are circumstances and God who comes into play and sends a wonderful fairy, and how his life changes and his entire attitude takes a turn. See, finally, the ultimate signing line in the film is that no man is a failure who has friends. So that's what, at this point in time, please realize friendships are for life. and they are just not a means of a relationship to, for a social cause, but they'll be spanning and influencing many people across your lives. The choice is yours, whether, you want to become a force multiplier or you want to be a very mediocre person. Nobody is born mediocre. The choice is ours. As they say, hard work never killed a person. Lack of hard work definitely kills. So I can also, one of the other things which I thought I'll share with you today, within the sphere of Reliance, where we are working today, and is the new green energy project which you have heard. I was thinking about that as to what we were doing and how is it applicable to each of my friends to whom I thought I'll be spending a little time today. Hope I'm not taking too much of your time. I'll try to wind up in a few minutes. Remember, each one of you is a value creation engine. You are not a dud. There is no time where you can stop adding value. Your own thoughts are your own limiting factors. Many countries today are committing to become net carbon zero by 2035 to 2050, and some by 2060. What are the implications for your generation? Industries will go, undergo a transmogrification, a major shift in processes. Many things will change dramatically. What the disruption, what you are seeing today will be, child's play. Going forward, the sort of a disruption, what will be coming ahead of us will be unbelievable. So the age of fossil fuels, which has spurred economic activity and growth for the last 6 decades, is over. The huge quantities of carbon we have spewed across the globe have endangered the planet and human life. So clean, green, renewable energy across spheres has to happen. Not only within the consulting domain and across industries, you will see that it is going to bring across major changes in the way of life. So what you are learning today is just a stepping stone. So you please understand, for that, you'll have to continuously keep on learning. The global agenda now is moving from dialogue to what has recently, from the recently concluded COP26 to action. And many countries are changing. More critically for you, especially in this, India is at the threshold of a major disruption. Mark my words, in the next decade, which will be the golden decade of economic growth for the country, you are entering the workforce and will become the next leaders on whose shoulders the legacy of this country will be resting. So what we are seeing today is an explosion of aspirations, as I want to put it. Right from the village level, whoever I have been looking at, be it my maidservants' children, the pushcart vendors' children, the mason's child, they are going to be, none of them are going to follow their parents' workforce. It's good. We are seeing many different types of avenues coming up. Initially, what used to be there typically was, parents were always telling you, either you become an engineer or a doctor. Then they said, okay, you become a manager. Today, there is so much you can do across so many fields. There is the limitation is only in your mind. What does the wealth disparity, what is there today, can end only when leaders like you take the yoke and start making things different. One of the key things which I am seeing will be very critical for you is the word hyper-integration. What is hyper-integration? It is integration of scientific knowledge, scientific temper with technological innovation to build and operate and disseminate integrated systems in your workplace. So what does this mean? It calls for collaboration, coordination, and working seamlessly across functions. You will have to learn, if it's no longer you are committed only to HR, marketing, or finance, you will have to learn the entire value constellation. Every single part of the business is extremely important for each one of us. Two, we don't have time, especially you. You will have to build robust business models that are scalable and easily replicable. And there is the beauty of it is we have world-class talent in the country, and many of you bright youngsters can take this forward and will make this happen. As I said, there's nothing which will stop each one of you from creating a Facebook, an Amazon, an Alphabet, a Netflix, or a Google, or an whichever. You take the top 5, most of them are headed by Indians. If you take the top 18 companies worldwide by value in terms of what they are adding, 11 of them are headed by Indians. All of that is homegrown talent. So don't ever limit yourself. Dream big, go and achieve big. And most important is the development paradigms are changing worldwide. So power is shifting from a few to many. Then governments across are becoming facilitators. Rules of engagement are being recast. Resources are being realigned to ideas. And most important, the bottom of the pyramid is coming to the top. It's like a shifting mosaic. That's why I see that, the next decade, India, if you see the bottom of the pyramid is shrinking and it is becoming more like a spheroid. So what is important now for you to innovate? Never try to be successful. The mistake a lot of us try to do is, and it's instilled in our Indian education system, that a guy who is good, who gets good grades or tops the admission test is the most successful guy. Frankly, let me also admit, I was a victim of that. I've always been a gold medalist. I don't care a damn for that. Never try to be successful. What you have to be is always pursue excellence. Excellence leads to you building your brand and your ability to deliver. And don't get bogged down ever. Work hard. As I told you, innovation doesn't happen by itself. Innovation is the result of a series of things which you keep doing as a collaborative effort, but the process is not giving up. Innovators don't look for options. They try to see new ways of doing things. And it's far easier when you start, do a zero-based or a zero budgeting approach, rather than, doing an incremental tinkering of something. Our culture of jugaad, while it may help, because, we are in nature by, our country is by and large, the way we have built it because of the socialistic pattern is on the frugal engineering mindset. We have to get out of that and start thinking big. And we have no dearth of ideas. Today's, innovation is not just in terms of making things different. Ideas also have a life of their own, and ideas become innovations. So the reality is life is beautiful when you don't get bogged down, when you constantly look challenges as opportunities, and every opportunity to build value is something, where you can add to yourself. And passion leads to excellence. I keep telling all my teams, I have been, for the last 30 years, 3 things which I've learned from Dr. Kurian are passion, commitment, ownership. At every level, without passion, you can never learn to deliver value. Commitment of the highest order. Commitment is not doing certain things when a lot of people are seeing and observing you. Commitment is the way you behave and you treat your organization's resources, the way you live your life with integrity, irrespective of others watching or not, the way you treat people when you are happy with others' success. That is commitment. Commitment to a larger cause, commitment to the idea, and commitment to yourself. Ultimately, I keep coming back. The biggest value is where you can innovate is your own skill sets, knowledge, and attitude. Learning is very simple. How do we make it simple? Never stop learning. We keep on learning till we kick the bucket. And that is the reality. None of us knows everything. There are so many things which you people know more than I. And because, as we have been telling, you guys have no fear, no risk appetite, and you have, you are willing to experiment. Whereas a lot of people, the baby boomer generation, as I said, we are conditioned to think very differently. So when you believe that you can work without limitations, miracles start happening. Lastly, as leaders, when you come out, you start managing not only yourself, you'll be impacting the lives of many people. What is life? Many of us are prone to looking at algorithms, putting equations. Everything is mathematics. Ultimately, yes, as leaders, we need to look at balance sheets. We need to look at the P&L account all the time. So we are prone to picking numbers. Employees who work with you are not employee codes or employee numbers. When you manage the lives of a host of people, what I mean is you are managing emotions and you are not optimizing intelligence. Please keep this in mind. It's a very loaded statement. When management of the lives of the people around you is the management of their emotions and not optimization of their intelligence. Give them freedom, give them choice, liberate them, allow them to deliver. And when you start facilitating people to take ownership and deliver, a lot of things keep coming out. Innovation and productivity are always the outcome of team effort. I could have taken many examples. I'm not an engineer, but together when we were building many a project, there have been engineering solutions which out of sheer common sense and by listening to people we have delivered. And I take pride that I have been able to deliver certain things now which have become standards in engineering and standards of, BSI as they call it, for execution of buildings. Next is necessity is the mother of invention. It's not so simple as, as you have seen Amir Khan in Three Idiots using a vacuum suction pump in the last minute to deliver. It's not that. When you start looking at the end consumer, keeping in mind how you can add value, what is it you see? There is a tapestry in the market. Indian market and diaspora are extremely rich. Why are many others, next to China, it's why are our valuations very high? Because if you look at the last 40 years, our per capita incomes are increasing. Our per capita investment in industry has gone up. Per capita investment in education has gone up manyfold. There are a host of 14 parameters which I have looked at, and I don't think this is the opportunity. All of them are innovation enablers, as I put it. Dr. Mashelkar, who you might have heard of, who was the Director General of CSIR, who is a member of our board, who is the head of the of the Prime Minister's Innovation Council. I have had the privilege of talking to him on a couple of occasions. And I think, he beautifully sums up innovation. Innovation is the ability to add value in every moment of your life across every sphere. And that's what, it has happened. There are many, many examples. Lastly, simplicity is the essence. It's extremely easy to complicate things and write, copious essays, produce PhDs. It doesn't require. Simplicity comes in when you are able to express complex ideas in a few sentences or not exceeding a page. That shows the clarity and the hard work which has gone in. I earnestly beseech each one of you to be extremely simple, extremely humble. Lastly, leadership is necessary across every sphere. It starts from home, it starts in the institute, and when you step out of the portals of the institute, what you do you may not be a leader, but treat that whatever job you're doing. I keep saying, whether it could be the bellboy or the chairman of the company, everybody is a leader. When they look at it, at how they can fulfill and how they can add value, that's when, the entire organization changes and you become a facilitator to everyone to add value. And mediocrity, as I told in the beginning of my talk, always gets penalized in life. See, what happens is somewhere you start with a lot of earnestness. In between a couple of people, because of circumstances or because of certain issues or because of the feeling that you're victimized, give up the race. See, the battles are always in the mind. Your perception becomes your reality. The moment you stop becoming a victim of your own beliefs and start doing things differently, then, innovation will flow. There are many other parameters. I'm not so sure. I think we've just crossed 6 o'clock. I said, I'll take 45 minutes. But otherwise, there were certain other paradigms. But I didn't want to, load you with too much of theory. But, these are certain things which I have done as a manager. And, I've been extremely fortunate that, I've always had colleagues who have, helped me grow up the ladder. And critical thing, always remember, leadership is not trotting on people and treating people as doormats. Leadership is the ability to make yourself redundant and share the happiness of that, everyone who has worked with you or under you has grown into positions of eminence and excellence. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this enlightening session. We are open to some questions. Audience, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. So we have a question over here. What are the basic and the best traits a new manager should possess?
Oh, excellent. See, a good manager to become an innovation facilitator should always be good, irrespective of your domain. It could be HR, it could be finance, whatever be the area. He should always have the ability to be a very good project manager. He should have an evangelist, Bible thumping passion. The ability to motivate people is extremely critical. He should always be action and team oriented, have the ability to do things differently, then know how to manage his own time, respect others' time, manage talent. And as I mentioned, always keep his integrity, always back up what he or she says with data, and never ever get carried away with office gossip or rumors, and always treat people what they have contributed and not get carried away with certain other perceptions and inputs, and has always treat and not only perceive people as competent, do everything to develop their competence. And he himself, the manager, has to be a constant learner. Hope I have answered the question.
Yes, sir. We have another question. What skills do you think are most important for a manager to work on right now or after the post-COVID era?
Okay. Today, we are living in a very different world. Unlike the past, where we could get away with doing more of the same, we have to develop the ability to do things differently and realize that every day is different, and realize that we don't have unlimited time to deliver value. So it now becomes quintessentially critical that we are in a position to co-learn, co-act, and collectively create value. And most of the time, more important today is a 360-degree communication is very, very critical. In the past, meetings were a way of life. I have seen many meetings in my life. Having effective need-based meetings becomes very critical in today's life, especially in the event work from home is going to continue, or even if we start working directly, face to face. What becomes extremely important is that effectiveness and productivity in meetings is very important. Most important today is technology is going to change dramatically and drastically. If we are not technologically suave, if we are not constant learners, I think, within a few years, we will become a part of the furniture. We have to be ahead of technology and keep on adding more and more skill sets, not only in terms of the ability to handle multiple technologies and enhance our own productivity, but also every single area is going to be changed by artificial intelligence and machine intelligence specifically, and blockchain computing. So all of these three technologies are going to dramatically change the world in the next 5 years. So each one of you, I think, should learn this. And more important is, in today's world, you got to understand wherever you are the custodians of the company's resources and money. And last is, you have to change is the only thing constant. Don't get upset with change. Get used to disruption. Become comfortable with tackling change.
Thank you, sir. We have two more questions in the chat box. The first one is, what's that one idea that will change the entire spectrum of business in the future?
See, this is a very broad question. Can we be a little more focused on this? What exactly did the person have in mind? It's a very generic question.
So we'll give them time to write on the chat box, and then we can move to the next question. In this competitive environment with a lot of capable colleagues, how to prepare ourselves to become the best next gen manager?
Very good question. Very apt and topical. See, today, what we got to learn is about handling challenges, never getting bogged down with problems, because the way we are going to work is going to change dramatically. You got to be an adept problem solver. So the ability to realize that what sort of a problems could arise from a certain set of inputs or plans. Say, always, if I were to step one level back, when you are doing something, you always have a finite resource, a finite time, but a defined goal of delivery. So, you are here and you need to reach there and you need to build a bridge. How are you going to build a bridge? You don't have all the resources. So what are the metrics for measurement and how are you going to do that? So a solo game, this is not a solo game. So it's all about collaborative, bringing out the best in everyone, developing alternatives, and always having a plan B and plan C. Because you don't have the time to course correct. In today's world, which is dog-eat-dog world and extremely competitive, you don't have the finite, unlimited time for you to start delivering things. So given that time is a constraint, when you know things are going wrong, you should have first the ability to judge what could be the possible areas you could go wrong and have a plan for that. And also that in the event a certain initiatives, what you're planning go wrong, you should immediately course correct and move to plan B or plan C, given that, your learnings. So every learning should become a part of your RNA and DNA, and that is the critical part. Never be ashamed of making mistakes. Without mistakes, you'll never progress. But never ever repeat the same mistake a second time. So that is the trait of a very good manager. And a good boss always backs his people by committing resources to an idea and allowing them to make a mistake, sorry. And see, one mistake is not a challenge for any organization today. So this, because through all the innovations did not happen because people were, Nobel Prize laureates, or they had a definite idea that, they have a beautiful thing that they'll change the world. If you look at Edison's inventions, it took him just for the telephone. Can you guess when he invented the telephone? It was the outcome of 17 years of effort and multiple mistakes. So, the thing is, always be ready to own up the mistake and never shy away from doing that. Be fearless. The most important trait in today's world is fearlessly treading on a road where no one else has traveled. You will become the path breaker, and you will be the ones who will, create the path for others to follow. See, this is how paradigms are built. The few people who are willing to embark and become leaders in the quest for excellence and showing the path have done that. How many of you know who created the first bit of computer programming? Can we have a raise of hands? Anyone? Incidentally, the first bit of computer programming happened way before even the first computer was born. And it was, if you read Walter Isaacson, who has written, books on Steve Jobs and many of the greats of innovation, the first lady who developed computer programming was Ada Lovelace. People, I don't know if people here have loved literature and learned and read some poetry by Lord Byron. She was Lord Byron's daughter, Ada Lovelace. She was the first one who created the metrics, the design, and the inputs for today's modern world's computer programming. In the 18th century. See, that's what, a few names. I'm sure, it's relevant to know to the person who had asked this question. If you look at Alan Turing, who was the person incidental in developing the first computer, or Vannevar Bosch, who created the first principles of design for manufacturing. Then John Van Neumann, who said that, planning becomes extremely critical for documenting research and learning and passing it on to posterity. Doug Engelbart, who said, who set in basic motion the need for metallurgy and metals to facilitate development in innovation. Of course, thereafter, most of you know Bill Gates, Steve Wozniak, Steve Jobs, Tim Berners-Lee, who was the one who created the internet in 1983, Larry Page, who created Google and Sergey Brin, who created Google from a garage. See, we have so many of these people. So how did they innovate? They did not set innovation as a goal. They were not afraid of failure, and neither of them had unlimited resources. When you have the power of conviction in your idea, and that you can make a difference, money automatically flows. When you don't start using innovation as a tool for making money, but as a tool for benefiting a larger cause, then everything else, greatness becomes a byproduct.
Thank you, sir, for the explanation. Moving on to the other question that we have that we had earlier. What's that one idea that will change the entire spectrum of business in the future? The student is asking about the technological aspects, sir.
Okay, you see, there are technology doesn't work in isolation. See, the way I see the world changing within the next decade, specifically is in three areas: new materials, new energy, and new programming. See, today, both in terms of cryogenics and acrogenics, which is extreme cold and extreme heat, there are numerous metals which have been and alloys which have been developed. And if you were to look at the pioneering and path-breaking work done by CERN in Switzerland, not only in terms of the God particle, but also in terms of multiple physics, the sort of materials they have been doing research. What you can see in your lifetime is solar farms in space, which are going to power Earth. Communication satellites, beaming Wi-Fi into your homes. All of these require, bandwidth, and the bandwidth creation requires, given the structure of the universe and, the way it shifts. If you do a bit of reading on that, the satellites need to be placed in a certain orbit. So when they need to capture that, and for that you need energy. And for that energy, you need batteries and cells which can keep on self-replenishing themselves. Today, that the sort of materials which are being developed from the old alkaline batteries into the new age technologies, which today, for example, Tesla is used one. How many of you have heard of Rivian? Rivian is a company which has been working on a battery-operated long-haul delivery trucks. It debuted the first prototype last week with a very new type of a battery, and has become in one day, without even manufacturing a single vehicle, 2 times bigger than Tesla, just because of the strength of the idea and the materials it has been having. They have a new IP technology, and they're backed by Amazon. So, metallurgy is an extremely critical thing. What is happening is new metals, new materials, and the EV space is going to be extremely, going to be redefined very soon and very fast. The pace of developments which are happening in the EV sphere are going to have implications across industries. Many processes today are going to change. As I said, fossil fuels will have to be phased out of necessity. We cannot leave our planet in this shape for the next generations. Your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren cannot inherit the earth we are living in. We are destroying the planet. All the technologies which are going to do. So what is happening today when we speak? Why are these still not being commercialized? Because they are technological solutions, and a lot of metallurgy and metal work research which has happened. What the pitfall of this is, they have a life cycle of 40 years. 40 years later, you'll have a lot of space debris. So today, if you have seen, Russia had blown up a satellite this morning, and they miscalculated certain readings, and it has left a trail of debris, and it is falling across, a lot of Europe and the African continent, and most of it in the Indian Ocean. So we cannot afford to do that. So it has to be self-destructible and leave no trail. So a lot of work is happening in that area. It's a bit too early and premature to comment. At the same time, why I said programming, materials is one, connectivity is the other, blockchain is the one which is leading to communications which can be encrypted to such a very high order and provide security. Today, anything what we are doing is prone to hacking. Thank God, so far, blockchain, because of the protocols and the algorithms, nobody has been able to break into. There are challenges. If you forget the code or the key for the blockchain, you get lost. All the material and your money and your assets and accounts are lost forever, for eternity. So, people are trying to find ways and means. You have, have you been following something called the G68.2V protocol, which was developed recently by the US? It's about the next set of protocols for blockchain, which are going live on the 23rd of January 22. So we'll have to wait and watch. New technologies, new programs are evolving. As I said, it is not a milestone. It is not a destination. These are all milestones in the road to progress. But unlike the past, at least now, thankfully, people are waking up, looking at what are the pitfalls, what are the pros and cons of if we do something now, are we doing it right? What, why, and how are the three things which are questioning. One of the things I forgot to mention is a good innovation-focused organization always works inward out. See, there are two ways. Innovation is either inward or out, inward to out or outward to in. What happens when it's outward in? People are forced to fight for their survival. When somebody comes with a good idea and brings down the price of a manufacturing or a better product, others start scrambling and start developing a better me too. It's like developing a better mousetrap. Do we fall into the trap of developing a better mousetrap and adding just some better packaging or a little value, making it light or something, or adding a little more battery life? Or do we do something radically different, find a niche area, understand, today the unarticulated needs are more than the articulated ones, which everybody needs. Within that, how do you prioritize? In the Albosch algorithm, as it's called, there is a high risk, high reward quadrant in that. So how many of the people have the resources, the guts, the gun to take an idea forward? See, one of the people I can say that who has done that is Elon Musk. A lot of people could call him a maverick, but from nowhere to where he is today, he's definitely changed the way people are looking at the world. Jeff Bezos, he has changed not only, the fact that today books don't exist. Everything is digitized. He has done that, and Amazon is not only an e-commerce space. What he has done in entertainment, in media, and many areas, and a lot of areas where he is working, and which he has still not brought it to public domain, are far more than what he has taken public. So, the way things will change, and similarly with Walmart. If you look at, established companies like, how did Walmart become the leader in retailing? Because, they use technology to link directly the customer to the production line. So they don't keep any stock. They all have algorithms. They understand every single store of Walmart, wherever it is in the world, when it is exactly 10 days from stock out, the algorithm automatically triggers down, goes down into, it started with PNG first. And there is a wonderful book called, Stop Paddling and Start Rowing the Boat, written by PNG's first chairman. I would, request if you guys can lay your hands on that, please read that. In my view, it's a sort of a Bible for every MBA and every budding person who wants to make a difference and wants to understand how they can change things rather than taking the status quo for granted. So, as I was saying, Walmart has, been able to work on a very lean and mean inventory model. They are the first ones who have piloted RFID. So today, there's no need. When in COVID, most of the stores in the US were shut. Not a single Walmart was shut. Why? They didn't need cashiers. So any customer could go. They can pick up stocks from the shelf and put it in the cart and go buy. So whatever is in the cart is read by the RFID reader, and the customer's wallet automatically gets debited. So, there is absolutely seamless transaction. So Not only they have done many things, and they have also robotized sanitization. If 10 people walk into a store, every 20-minute intervals, that bay is closed by robots, and that entire bay was sanitized. So we are seeing these things happening in real life. And all these developments, which they thought of for doing for something else, for the supply chain, it manifested with a little bit of tweaking into the operations and onto the workplace. And similarly with Amazon, they have humongous number of solutions, which we have read and we have discussed with a few people, and we haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg of what they have brought to the market. The way they can change the market and they can own the globe is, it's only a matter of time. If you were to look at metaverse, now, what has happened to metaverse? If Mark Zuckerberg gets his act right this time around, and at least for a change, he has realized that, the world, people are waking up and to the perils of technology and invasion of privacy. So facial recognition is something which has been recognized on the 27th of last month from Facebook across the globe. It was prevalent in 8 countries the last, all of them, it has been removed. Now, none of your posts are kept in their archives for more than 90 days. So they go into self-destruct mode unless you activate and you want to keep it in your own personal cloud. So, they are waking up. Metaverse is going to be, very different, because it is being not only in terms of what you have today in Facebook is what you are able to see on your mobile. Metaverse brings in a combination of augmented and virtual reality also. So here you will be able to see and visualize the person who you are going to talk. You can share events live. See, today, it would have been a pleasure for me to be present physically and, be in your midst. Not to be, but if once metaverse becomes a reality, the virtual images of each one of us will be doing a physical handshake. And we are just 4 months away from that.
Thank you, sir, for the answer. We are done for the question answers from our end. GK Srikant sir, if you have any questions for sir, please come forward.
Thank you, Chandrai. Thank you. Venugopal sir, before I want to ask
Srikant,
a question.
A small request, call me Venugopal. I don't believe in hierarchies and sirs.
Okay, Mr. Venugopal.
I'm as young as the team you are mentoring.
Okay. Thank you, Venugopal. Venugopal, what I wanted my students to have the last word of wisdom from you is how can they make themselves ready to accept successful failure. I'm using a term called successful failure. Because Venugopal, today, our kids and our grandchildren and whomsoever who are there and the generation of millennials which we are addressing today. What I find with not just my students, this age group across, what I find is 2 things they want. They want everything before somebody gets it, 1. And 2, they don't have a formula to get it. They want to outsource the formula, but they want instant gratification. It's just like ordering a pizza. I want an MBA in 1 year. So the college says, okay, we'll give you a 1-year MBA. I want an MBA online. Okay, we'll give you online. I want an MBA which is job assured. Okay, fine, we'll give you. Now the question here is, if I ask, did you earn a job because of MBA, or the MBA provided you to a job? The student would say, it doesn't matter as long as I get it and I wanted it. Now the next question we know is, once they get the job, the second question they ask me is, sir, when should I change? And the third question they ask is, sir, should I continue further or should I change again? Now my answer is, I think MBA should have given you answers for all this before you moved out to the first job. I don't know how you would address this. This is a little complex, but then I want you to address it because I try to do it in my own way. I'm a teacher come consultant plus ex-corporate, but understanding this generation, because this generation has got answers online, and our generation had a mixed work hard on offline and then slowly try to get into online. So maybe if you can just address two things. One is successful failure. How do they adapt to successful failure? And second thing is, how can they culturally shift to having self-earned instant gratification than outsourced instant gratification? Please go ahead with.
Yeah, Srikant, this to give, if I were to walk back memory lane, see, unlike the current generation, as you said, which believes in instant gratification and has not really is low on patience. I will not say hard work. Everything they have seen happening, and I think we as parents are also equally culpable and guilty of this, fratricide and homicide of changing mindsets. We've given everything on a platter. While we cycled our way to school, we ensured that all the kids, very few of them went by bus. Most of them were having chauffeur-driven cars. So when it comes to the sphere, when they are embarking on their life now, one thing is, two things first they need to understand and develop is a critical thinking ability and a multidisciplinary skill set. Never ever confine yourself to one area. When I was saying keep on investing in yourself, innovating in yourself, and build your brand. It could be Chandrai, it could be Samad, it could be Himani, it could be Ishani, anyone around who I see on the screen, everyone is capable of delivering a lot. The idea is, there is what we call as every product life cycle is there. Everything goes through growth, maturity, and decline. Similarly is the case with you. See, when I mentioned the second one, deserve before you desire. Yeah, that's one of the reasons, what I mentioned is I have worked only in 5 companies in my 34 years so far. Whereas I have a couple of people who I have hired, they have changed 11 companies in 7 years. So, see, this is a paradigm, what we have seeing today. But what value do they bring to the table? See, if I were to follow my old traditional thinking hat and say that, these people have no skill sets. But as I said, this generation is different. There are many tasks where we need you guys to lead from the front because you have no baggage. If I were to give a certain element of the business, which the new age business, what I was looking at, to somebody from the past, I'm doomed to fail you. But at the same time, when we give it to someone of you, for example, if I give it to Raghuram, am I sure that will he take it to a fruitful and logical end? Because no business grows overnight. Anything takes its time to understand. When I was explaining to you the cycle, it takes minimum of 7 years. I have built now 5 businesses and turned around 2 organizations. Nothing happens overnight. If you're not willing to invest 7 years of your life in an organization, maybe that's why they call it the 7-year itch, both in personal life as well as in an organization. It calls for phenomenal commitment. When I said passion, commitment, and ownership, you own the organization. Whether the organization owns you or not, you own the idea. You have to take pride in making it happen and deliver that. You will see that, thereafter, there's no stopping you. The first decade, the lesser you change, the more you learn, and the more you will grow. And, I'm sure each one of you guys will shatter the glass ceiling very fast. It calls for patience. It calls for a very multidisciplinary approach. We are living in very different times. As I said, we had the luxury of being in a staid economy with minimal disruptions for many years. You will not have that luxury. You will see things changing drastically and dramatically over the next few years. And for that, what it required is upskilling, reskilling, and constantly, working on yourself. That's why I keep telling many of my people and colleagues, read, read, read. There can't be a better thing than, reading. And you listen to podcasts. There are so much, today. Let me also tell you at this, most of you guys, the first drop, Google. Google is not the guru. I can tell you there are at least 100 instances where you'll get the wrong answers in Google. And many people have, taken quite a few wrong decisions courtesy Google. Google has been a great tool, a great enabler, no doubt. But when it comes to personal life, and when you need to take very calculated decisions as to where you will move, and are you taking the right step, I think, it calls for a lot of introspection, the ability to invest in yourself. So definitely, I know, Srikanth, it's a very hard answer, but I think it calls for a phenomenal amount of patience from this generation. And they should also know two things. One, bet on a winning idea. Two, never be afraid of success. As the way you don, badges of success on your, lapel, the more failures you have, the more experience you will have. The more success you have, the greater the deceit, conceit, and you think you're God's gift to mankind. So failure is the first stepping stone to success. I can guarantee you that. Never be afraid. Don't shy away from failure. As I said, you got to work in an organization, be a part of the effort to develop a culture in the organization that embraces failure. And there are few organizations in this country which are not shying away from that. Not only the one I am working for, I know quite a few people here. Today, they are not afraid. They are giving the young generation, they are betting on people, they're betting on ideas and giving them a lot of leeway and leverage. See, that's why I keep saying, there is only way is don't stop learning. Keep learning is go after an idea, go hammer and tongs. They could be one idea may not work, two may not work, three may not work, maybe 10 or 12. But who knows? The 15th could be a gold mine. And that's the reality.
True, Venu, true, Venu. Friends, I hope all of you have, of course, you have the recording with you, but more than the recording, the words of wisdom Venu gave us to all of us. My dear students, I wish each one of you, please, 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 please take it sincerely, work on it with a lot of dedication, and please ensure that the message which we got from Venu for all of you for the future endeavors which you are planning to do within the academic time period which you're going to spend further. For first years, you're going to spend another 1 year. For second years, maybe another few months. So please make sure that you carry forward the thought process and please ensure that you dedicate yourself. And if you have planned, ensure that these things are included in your plan. If you are not planned, please make sure that everything is included in the plan and continue your journey. Venu, it was so nice for me to be part of it and have your conversation, because when I address, Venu, by the way, I teach entrepreneurship and I teach
Wonderful.
family business and strategy. So you can, you can correlate all three of them. So I start the business, I execute the business through strategy, and then I give it to the family as a family business. So my students have got enormous amount of wisdom. I was addressing them before. When I just introduced myself to the audience, you could see that. So friends, I hope all of you have got a very good memory for this last 1.5 hour session. We didn't look at the clock at all because Venu ensured that we didn't have to. So passionate, so much of knowledge, so much of wisdom, and so much of connectivity to all of us. We were strangers to Venu. Now Venu is not a stranger to us. We are all one family. Please make sure that we all appreciate and show our gratitude to Mr. Venu and So nice of you, Venu, talking to you, and
My pleasure,
we wish to see you again and again. And IBS Messenger Club and all the clubs who are associated in supporting the club, please ensure that we will re-invite Venu whenever he is free, whenever he can give us time, and we'll rejoin again. Nice talking to you, Venu. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was wonderful being with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Venu. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I, Samar Jain, on behalf of Club IBS Messenger, would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you for gracing us with your presence. We surely agree that corporations need to innovate ahead of the curve. And maybe the budding managers here at IBS will think of the long term in their journey ahead and innovate. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your experiences with IBS today. And we hope to see you on IBS Hyderabad campus soon, physically.
Thank you, Samat. Look forward. Have a great day.
Yeah. Now we have a short video about the members of Club IBS Messenger to signify our teamwork and collaboration.
यादों 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 लक में बड़ी चवन्नी सी बचा के रखे हैं हमने वो दिन ना किसी मंजिल की फिक्र थी जिंदगी जीने की उम्र थी दोस्ती और दोस्तों से उधार के दिन थे वो दिन भी क्या दिन थे वो दिन भी क्या दिन थे वो दिन भी क्या दिन थे
So now, let's move forward to our next speaker, Mr. Sabbas Joseph. He is the founder director at Wizcraft International Entertainment Private Limited. He is going to provide us with insights on vision and goal building your plan. Now, I would like to hand over the stage to our guest to take our audience through this insightful journey as a manager.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hi. How are you, Chandri?
We are doing good, sir.
Can I start right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you everybody for holding on for me and joining us today. I was invited to address all of you by a young lady, Himani Paruchuri, who said we have a whole bunch of students who are passionate about business and would like to understand what we can possibly do. I'm going to share with you my perspective on what does a business leader require to do? What can you do? And how do you align your vision and your plan? With that focus, I've chosen a metaphor or the example that comes through in a tele-serial. Have all of you seen Game of Thrones? I can't see all of you, but you'll see Game of Thrones.
Yes, sir.
And if you've seen the Game of Thrones, most of you would also understand what the Game of Thrones is all about. It's a fight between 7 kingdoms. Think of those 7 kingdoms as 7 companies. Think of those 7 kingdoms as being led by 7 business heads, 7 visionary business leaders. And what does it take to win? What does it take to win a client? What does it take to win business? What does it take to keep afloat? What are the kind of strategies that you do when you're at war? And when you're in business, without the guns and without the fireworks and without the bombs going out, every now and then you're looking for ammunition, you're working out strategies, you're working out defense and offense, and you're constantly moving forward. And once you're moving forward, you're looking at strategy, you're looking at planning and all of that. I'm going to take you to the Game of Thrones, which all of us have seen only as a television serial. Be it Netflix or Amazon that brought it to us or Hotstar that brought it to us. We've enjoyed it as a tele-serial. I'm going to take you to the tele-serial and show you different vignettes on what does it take to win. Okay? What does it take to make your business work? What does it take to have a vision? And what does it take to implement that vision? So I hope you enjoy the next few minutes that we have together, and feel free to ask any questions post that. Can I share my screen?
Sure, sir.
I can?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's cool. You must be the first to the throne. Whether you've seen Game of Thrones or not, just to remind you, I'm going to play you some of the spoilers. Okay? I hope you've seen Game of Thrones, so they don't work as spoilers. I'm playing these spoilers for you just as reminders about what Game of Thrones is all about and how it has held people across the world by magic. Yeah?
Hold on. In today's episode, Hodor died while holding the door for Bran.
No.
Hodor,
No. No.
hold the door.
No.
The first to the throne owns the spoiler.
Baby? Uncle? You know what? In today's episode, Daenerys slept with Jon Snow, and she is his aunt.
The first to the throne owns the spoiler.
So whose business is it anyway? Whose throne is it anyway? The client who decides it is the king. Okay? So you can be Jon Snow, you can be Daenerys Stormborn, you can be Arya Stark or Sansa Stark or the Lannisters. But someone else is king, not you. You can plan, you can do whatever you want. You're looking for that client, you're looking for that business. And the one who gets that business, the one who wins that client's confidence is really the king. Okay? 10 steps to win the throne, 10 steps to win your business. Okay? Those of you who know Khaleesi, when you begin this series, she's banished to the boondocks, living literally among slaves and among others, and almost enslaved. Her brother wants to use her literally as a pawn to woo one of those chieftains that has an army. He's trying to get an army to go and win back the throne that was held by his father. And here comes Khaleesi, and she wants dragons, she wants an army, and she will take what is hers, whatever it takes, including with blood. And you require to dream big with a clear vision. Okay? You can have a vision, but when you're doing your vision for your business, for your plan, for anything in life, you must have your dream larger than life and have clear vision. Because when you have clear vision of where you want to go, what you want to achieve, it helps. Okay? So once you've got your clear vision, you need to share your vision. You need to share your vision with your team, your believers, your army of workers. You need to build faith. Because the moment my vision becomes yours, you become part of my story. You've heard the story about the mason who was building a brick wall. For one, that mason, it was just he was building, putting some bricks together and putting some cement and moving on. Another believed that he was building a home for people. And the third mason believed he was building a palace where people are going to live and they were going to rule the world. What kind of bricks are you using? What kind of cement are you using? It's the same. It's what you set out to build is what changes things, changes your vision, changes your definition, and inspires others. Okay? And I'm going to share a video with you just now where Khaleesi, she has no army. And now she's going to a person who trains soldiers and sells them. And she's gone there to buy those soldiers actually without money. And they insult her. And then she goes in there and her dragons literally consume those people. Now the slaves are there, not knowing what to do. Like any workers in any factory, any team members or whatever you have. They're wondering what to do. And Khaleesi shares her vision. Is the audio good for you all?
Yes, sir.
Because it's very low for me. So you come in with nothing. You come in with nothing and you have to win the faith of an entire army. And in winning the faith of that entire army, you're winning the faith of your chieftains, your core team. Because they see you in action and they see their army believing in you. So when you share your vision, you need to build belief. You need to build belief in your team, in the team that follows them, in your clients, in your partners, in your vendors, in everything that you do. And if more than anything else, you need to believe in yourself and your own vision and plan. Because if you don't believe in your own vision and plan, nobody else has any reason to work with you. Okay? So be very clear. This is my vision. It is big. I'm building Rome. I'm building this larger than life business. And I need the following. First step, this is what I want. I've got them. Now with them, I'm going to conquer. And I need an army. So I go and get that army. And I'll get that army at my price, at my value. And telling them, where are we going? We're going to march on Rome. We're going to conquer the world. And for them, it's a war. But for all of us, we are at war every day. We're at war in our day-to-day lives and need an army. And those around us need to believe in us. Believe in your team. Most often, leaders don't even believe in their own team. So they don't give them freedom. So you need to believe in your team, give them freedom, they will believe in you. Formulate your strategy. This famous dwarf was always full of strategic steps. It's like one of those guys who says strategy, strategy, strategy. He was the king. In every scenario, he came with a strategy. And you are never half as clever as you think. And I'm going to share with you a video. You'll see in that video that an army is coming through the sea to attack this palace. The kingdom, the crucial place or the heart of the king, the seven kingdoms, okay? Where the Lannister rules and this is the queen. Into that scenario, they have lesser weapons compared to the army that's coming in. They have lesser manpower because half their manpower has gone somewhere else to fight another battle. And the few of them are there to defend the castle, to defend their kingdom. And they have a strategy. The dwarf is the strategist. He's put it all together. And that strategy has some chutzpah. It has some uniqueness that only he's held it to himself. So keep something behind that has a surprise element. And that surprise element, you will see. So watch this, is a 2-minute video, but watch it till its end. And you'll see how that surprise comes into being. The king is standing out there, unable to fathom how are they going to handle this. And I think he's doubting his strategist, who's commanding his army. He's doubting himself. He still has to believe that he has something going. According to him, nothing. He has nothing. He just has the kingdom and a weak army. How does he fight? Watch this video.
There's only one ship. Where are the rest of them? Where are the rest of them?
There's only one ship. Archers, stand down! Man below! Knock! And set! Draw! Hold! Oh! There's no one on board. Wildfire. Steer clear! Steer clear! Mathis! Get down!
If you understand what has happened, there's a concept known as wildfire. This dwarf has held back his secret weapon. So he's got that green liquid into the water, which is floated on the water. And all it took was one match, one light. So as the troops came in closer to the palace, and they're in his control and they're ready to go to battle, before the first arrow has been fired, he destroys that army. And it's the strongest army of the 7 kingdoms, destroyed in one trick, in one flash of wildfire. Need to, yeah. Strategy and implementation go hand in hand. As much as the strategy is brilliant, holding it till the end, having a surprise element, not floating that strategy to everybody in the army. You surprise the challenging army. Challenges will come. They will come. The biggest army, the biggest business, the biggest competition, a better creative person, a better engineer, someone who comes with a competing product. will come to you all the time. Are you ready to face them? Are you ready to look them in the face and say, I will work and get better than you? Sometimes in an army, or even when you play chess, it's important to retreat before you attack. So it's one of those games when you retreat, you attack, and you attack stronger. It happens in football all the time. It may not happen in cricket, but those of us who play football will tell you that every now and then a team will come back and then move forward. Come back and move forward. I'm trying to figure out why it's just not moving. Education is the key. Are you ready? The one time you're ready is when you're educated. And education never stops. You'll finish IBS and you'll require to continue your education. And education is not necessarily in your classroom. Education is outside in the real life. Okay? So I'm sharing this particular video for you where Arya Stark is being trained by her trainer. Now she's a young girl who wants to learn sword fighting. She can't hold a sword because the sword doesn't fit in her hand. It's too heavy for her. So she's got herself a sword which she calls needle. And it serves both as a sword. It serves like a stabbing piece of weaponry. And here you see her training with her trainer. Okay? And hear what her trainer tells you.
Is smaller. Now the grip, let me see. Yes. The grip must be delicate.
What if I drop it?
The steel must be part of your arm. Can you drop part of your arm? No. 9 years, Sirio Farrell was first sold to the Sea Lord of Bravos. He knows these things. You must listen to me, boy.
Apologies.
Is smaller. Now the grip, let me see. Yes. The grip must be delicate.
What if I drop it?
The steel must be part of your arm. Can you drop part of your arm? No. 9 years, Sirio Farrell was first sold to the Sea Lord of Bravos. He knows these things. You must listen to me, boy.
I'm a girl.
Boy, girl, you are a sword. That is all. That is the grip. You are not holding a battle axe. You are holding
a needle.
Ah.
Boy, girl, it doesn't matter. Make the sword an extension of your arm. Your education must become part of you. Your education, your weaponry must become part of you. They're not two elements. Your education doesn't come in when you need it, knock it off. It's an extension of you. Learning, dedication is key.
Is small.
Sorry. Education must become your weapon. Education must transform you. When faced with challenges, we need to innovate and conquer. And I'm going to take you to a very interesting challenge. The dragons of Westeros were in a position to attack. And when they attacked a city, they destroyed the city because dragons could spew fire. And that fire would burn armies, burn the city, destroy everything. The way to handle those dragons was to try and shoot them down. So the queen of the seven kingdoms is looking for a weapon. She's looking for how can I innovate and conquer. And her then chief of the army gets her a new strategy. I'm going to share that with you. Sorry, I don't have the video for some reason. But basically, they organize themselves giant bows, which are shot from machines, not from using your arms. And those bows would go at such speed and with such ferocity, and they were sharp-edged, literally with swords at the top of the bow, and shoot into an animal, shoot into a person, shoot into the dragon. That was the expectation. In all of this, you have a commitment, you have a vision, you have a plan, you have a team, they believe in you, but everyone needs to commit to that final goal. And commitment starts with each of us who are part of that story. This is a video of how the night watchmen, the watchmen of the Westeros, give up their lives, give up and make commitments that they will not get married. They will not leave the wall. They will give up their families just to protect the wall that protects all the seven kingdoms. Okay? And when they do that, here's how they take their oath.
Hear my words and bear witness to my vow. Night gathers, and now my watch begins. It shall not end until my death. I shall take no wife, hold no lands, father no children. I shall wear no crowns and win no glory. I shall live and die at my post. I am the sword in the darkness. I am the watcher on the walls. I am the shield that guards from the realm of men. I pledge my life and honor to the Night's Watch for this night and all the nights to come.
You Nelters boys, rise now as men of the Night's Watch.
And as you go through the series, you see the same guys who made this commitment standing by each other, fighting for each other, giving up their lives for each other. They were the men of the Night Watch. And they made that commitment and they lived that commitment. In many ways, each of us needs to make that commitment. That commitment begins with me. So as a leader, you make the commitment, your team makes the commitment, your team further down makes the commitment. You look for commitment from partners, you look for commitment from clients. Why do you build loyalty programs, etc.? Each of us in different shades and forms try to build commitment. It's key. Safety is about creativity. When you build your team, remember this. Safety is more important than creativity. And gender equality is extremely important. In the world that we live in, equal opportunity for both sexes, protection of women, ensuring that the empowered education of the girl child, all of these have become very important issues because progress of society, progress of us as humankind, and the values that we represent, the values that we stand, are tested by what kind of values we have in our business. Not in our personal lives, but what do we have in our business? The truth is, what you are in your personal life comes to your business. You can't say, I care about the women in my house. So I look after my daughter, I look after my wife, I look after my mother, all of them get equal opportunity. But when I come to office, my business, no, there's no such thing as equal opportunity. No. Sorry. That's a different ballgame. Then I've separated my work and my business. Exactly what you are at home is what you will do in the workplace. Build a global team. A team is not what you're born with. You must choose your team and ensure that each of those team members believes in your vision. And if you're able to build a global team, a dream team, that's what the dream is all about. They must believe in the same dream. And in the world that we live in today, thanks to COVID, that team can be from anywhere in the world. Work from home, digital workstations, all of that is possible. So when you choose your team, make sure you're choosing literally the best in the world. Very often we choose people who we can dominate. We choose people who listen to us and do the work that we want. We will never choose people who are smarter than us. Ask yourself very often, whoever the chairman of this committee that did this plan, most often, whoever he or she is, will choose somebody who they can get along with. Friends who will listen to them, who will do X, Y, Z. Not necessarily someone who will challenge them. I hope it's not true in this case, but that's what happens all the time. If you believe that you're the smartest person in the room, my advice to you is find another room. Find a room that challenges you. Find a business, find a team that challenges you. Because only if they challenge you, you'll be ready for the future. With belief comes partnership. And when you commit to partnership, it is for good times and in bad times. And it is extremely important to believe in your partner. They say that in marriage, I will tell you, it is even more so in business. Mike, I run a company called Witchcraft, and me and my two partners have been together for more than 34 years. 34 years, brothers don't last. Family businesses don't last very often. So unless we believed in each other, that partnership could never have worked. And you have to make everyone who's part of your home, your family, your everybody else also to believe in that partnership. It can't be just, I believe in it, but the rest of them don't. It'll never work. You must sell that belief to everybody.
And we have left it exhausted.
I want you to look at this video. This is a video where they're talking about how to attack. Who will take charge? Who will take what decision? Who will attack? Who will do X, Y, Z? And notice dissent and notice belief. Okay?
And we have left it exhausted. Many of them are wounded. They'll fight better if they have time to rest and recuperate.
How long do you suggest?
Can't say for certain, not without talking to the officers.
I came north to fight alongside you, at great cost to my armies and myself. Now that the time has come to reciprocate, you want to postpone.
It's not just our people, it's yours. You want to throw them into a war they're not ready to fight.
The longer I leave my enemies alone, the stronger they become.
The northern forces will honor their promises and their allegiance to the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. What you command, we will obey.
So, If all are in agreement, John and Sir Davos will ride down the King's Road with the northern troops and the bulk of the remaining Dothraki and Unsullied. A smaller group of us will ride to White Harbor and sail from there to Dragonstone with our queen and her dragons accompanying us from above. Sir Jaime has chosen to remain here as a guest of the Lady of Winterfell.
We have won the Great War. Now we will win the last war. In all 7 kingdoms, men will live without fear and cruelty under their rightful queen.
Notice she has a vision. Daenerys has a vision. People will live without fear of freedom. Great. Notice the descent from Sansa Stark. And against her dissent, her brother stands up and says, sorry, we pledged to a partnership. We pledged allegiance to you. So what you decide, I will follow and we will follow. That is what belief is. That is what partnership is. Sometimes you don't agree, but you take the decision from the leader. Because there must be one vision, one leader, one direction, and one mission. If each of us has our own stories, our own leaders, our own direction, our own mission, our own vision, all we'll do is fall apart. Nobody's saying the other person's idea is wrong. But if you don't work in unison, you only end up working against each other. When you work together, you will always win. So what am I telling you in long and short? Have a vision. Share your vision with clarity. Dream big. Share it. Build belief. Build partnership. Build a dream team, a global team that believes in you. And stay, whatever happens, stay to your course. One direction, one vision, only one mission. When you look at your business, when you look at your vision, it's a journey. You decide who's going to be with you and who's not going to be with you. Who's going to be with you is your team. Who's not going to be with you is your competition. You've got to get past them. Break your journey into multiple small steps. The smaller your steps, the better for you. Let there be 1,000 steps. It's all right. But when you cross each of the steps, keep ticking it. Because when you keep ticking it, you're on your way. I must tell you how the Australian team plays cricket. When you look at cricket, a cricketing day, a test match day, there are multiple sessions. Those sessions are broken up. They're broken up into how many wickets did we take, how many runs did they score, etc., etc. And outside the Australian dressing room, there's a board where the coach of the Australian team would go and tick, depending on did India do well or did Australia do well. And the more ticks he got, the more they knew that they were on their way. Why did they put it outside the green room, changing rooms, etc.? It wasn't for them. It was for the Indian team to see it. So that when the Indian team saw it, they realized that Australia is winning. And that put that much more pressure on the Indian team. So when you win, and as you're on your journey, treat each landmark as a win. Celebrate it. Make sure the world knows that you're winning and you're celebrating. Because when you celebrate, your team will celebrate and the world will celebrate you. Together is a very important part. We is a very important part of what we're talking about. The will to win and the final win. Each of these words, they mean something. Find meaning in them. What happened to the Game of Thrones when they worked together? They won 24 nominations in 1 year and 12 wins at the 67th Emmy. At the 68th Emmy, 23 nominations in 1 year and 12 wins. 2 consecutive years. They got 47 Emmys and 132 nominations, the highest ever got by any teleserial. That's what success is all about. And if you go on this path of working together, working on one mission, one direction, one dream, one leader, one company, all of it, you can be the first to the throne. Okay? You can be the first to the throne. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing our experiences with us. We are open to some questions right now. I
Sure.
request the audience to please put their questions in the chat box. So we have a question. What are the essential roles a manager has to perform in an organization to keep the employee satisfactory and motivated?
The kind of roles for each of us in an organization are defined. You may call it KRAs, you may call it key responsibilities, and it's defined. You're paid for something, you've been hired for some role. Get that role defined for you. And go beyond the KRAs, because where do those KRAs fit into the company's vision and the company's agenda? You aren't there to fill a seat. You're there to fulfill a role. So find that out and go for it all the way. And find your role in that entire jigsaw that your company is. Because you matter. What you're doing matters. You can knock off the Q&A slide. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for the answer. We have another question. What are the basic and the best traits a new age manager should possess?
Listen to what your company is telling you. See how relevant it is. Question what is being put down for you. Because if only when you question it, will you find the answer to believe in it. You need to believe in it and then begin to move forward. New age managers must find education, must keep educating yourself. You have to keep upgrading yourself and listening to the world. Don't live your life in the physical space. Live your life and your work life in the digital space. Even when work from home is over, continue to be digital, because our entire businesses, our entire lives are now sitting on a digital wireframe. There's information coming to us all the time. Don't think of your WhatsApp as WhatsApp. Think of it as information, education, knowledge. Not everything that comes on WhatsApp is knowledge and information either. But knowing what to go after, having your Google alerts, having information, tracking stuff. I talk about, say, Game of Thrones. By the time I've even said Game of Thrones, you already know who's made it, when it has happened, which channel, how many episodes are there. Can I watch it over tonight, or do I require the next half of my lifetime to watch it? That's the kind of information that I can't talk about it, but you can decipher it on a second screen working for you. So many of us have second screens and third screens working at the same time. So there's information out there. Keep grabbing it. Keep soaking it in. Understand your environment. Today we work in a world of NFTs. And everyone's trying to figure out what is NFT, what is Bitcoin, what is crypto, what is this, that, and the other. By the time people have figured it out, the opportunity would be over. And there's a big opportunity out there. That's what people will tell you. But do you want to risk that? Do you want to go and do that? So this is, the new age manager is questioning and searching beyond his company, beyond his role. If you are stay in your box, you will soon be history. Get out of the box, think out of the box, and go beyond. The new age manager challenges yesterday and is looking for tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. We have another question in the chat box. In the final episode, it was disappointing ending from Khaleesi. Though she was reigning great from the beginning, would you relate this to the present corporate leaders, or it's just works fictional way?
It is fictional, but very often we get carried away and lose our vision. It often happens with people in power. How to utilize power and stay your course is key. Don't lose your vision. Don't lose track of it. Don't lose your values. When you lose those, you suddenly find everything else going awry. So it's extremely important to stay the course. What happened to Khaleesi? She lost the, suddenly it went all over the place, and it went about, instead of building a place with freedom, looking after people, building a kingdom that was with equal opportunity, having everything perfect, she went and she destroyed it because she was so filled with rage and venom that she destroyed everything that was before her. And in that, her vision disappeared. So staying true to your values, staying with your vision will ensure you don't follow Khaleesi's mistake. She had it all. And that you see, the person who believed in her most of all, Jon Snow, he loses belief in her. And others lose belief in her. And her team came apart because the vision, the plan, the values held them together. They believed in her. You lose that belief and you've lost everything.
Now we are done with the questions from the student side. Now we have GK Shrikant sir with us. So sir, would you like to come up on the stage and have some?
Sure. Thank you, friends. Mr. Sabas Joseph, it was so enthralling and interesting at this point of time that we were glued to the screen. I didn't watch War of Thrones, but then I got the message. And by the way, sir, Mr. Abbas, I teach strategy for the students of MBA. So I have a new format now to teach strategy. Generally, we do with case studies of Harvard and all the Fortune 500 companies and Indian companies. And then now we have a new approach where we can show the web series like Wars of Thrones and so on, and then take the message across. So nice to have this new format, and so nice to have you with us on the panel discussion today, Mr. Sabas Joseph. Mr. Sabas Joseph, what I would like you to address our students is one very important issue which I have observed both in my corporate life before I became academician and now academician come consultant, is that most of the people get qualified as leaders without passing a test of leadership. It could be in politics, it could be in business, it could be in any professional career. Students, listen carefully to what I'm saying. Most of the people become leaders without getting a qualified certificate of leadership. Okay. Maybe it's within the family, or maybe it's luck, or whatever it is. Now you have n number of managers reporting to that one leader who has got that position without a leadership understanding or proposition or value. Now, the challenge for the corporate citizens, that is my students, and the challenge for the corporates who are running their own businesses, Mr. Sabas Joseph, the issue here is, how do you course correct? Because a manager cannot change a leader. And if a manager dares to do that, the leader will change the manager. Now, the question here is, a leader without a leadership trait, how would a manager fit in with the vision of the leader where the leadership itself is missing? So this is a little interesting thought, Sabas. I thought you can address our students, please.
Leadership is not by training. Attending IBS or attending any business school does not make you a business leader. Okay. I'm sorry, but I should have, you all should check my qualifications. I've never gone to business school. And so in that sense, I wouldn't be fit to address all of you. Leave alone lead a company or lead an industry. So the truth is this, that leadership is what you make out of all your learnings. Going to business school fast tracks you, gives you the guardrails, gives you something that just life itself will not give you. How you use that training, how you use everything that you learned in business school is really up to you. So my answer to your question, sir, just being put in a position of leadership does not ensure success for that family member who's come in and taken over. So just because my son would like to take over the company, irrespective of whether he's trained or not trained, doesn't make him the right leader. Leadership is to be earned. And you must earn that, and you must be befitting of that role to lead a team. And that is where, that's what defines sometimes family-owned companies compared to professional outfits. Families can also own professional outfits and run professional outfits. But that's the real test. And sometimes you have people who are trained in business school, perfect in every respect, as per qualification and the book goes, but you put them in the real life role and they're challenged. Because real life in business requires you to decide. Requires you to decide almost a decision every 30 seconds, if not faster. And if you don't have that capacity to process, to think, to look at the values, look at the system, look at the vision, etc., unfortunately, you're not able to lead. So I always recommend whoever it is, grow through the ranks, make people want you to lead them through what you've delivered. Don't take on leadership and then expect others to follow you.
Very well articulated, Sabas Joseph, sir. Absolutely. When I asked this question, I was actually looking at the objective of the students, because most of my students are and would be qualified MBA, but qualified MBA doesn't, as you said rightly, doesn't guarantee, it doesn't make you eligible to qualify as a leader. Maybe you are qualified as a manager because you get the job. And as you rightly said, it has to be earned. Now here, there is a very interesting observation, Sabas, Joseph, you can address my students, is that most of the people who are born leaders because of survival instinct, made leaders because of situational perceptions, or a combination of both, in order to ensure that you have no way to go. As you said, one direction, one mission, one plan, and you are the only one. You are the only one decision maker. You do it, you are successful, people say, we are with you. And if you fail, people say, sorry, it's because of you, and we move out. Now that puts a situation in this individual. Did I make a mistake? Of what I should not have done, I did it. And what I should have done, nobody told me to do it. Now this complex predicament is being faced by my students when they sit for a job versus when they want to start a company. I teach entrepreneurship, Joseph sir. And when I tell my students, start the business, I will take the loss and you will gain the profit of our business. And the students say, sir, we will come back after 3 years of work X. I said, I may or may not exist 3 years down the line. And even if I exist, the idea may not exist. And somebody might have already put forth in the market where you would be working in that idea. So how do you think you can take out the education out of you, take the education out of you, what you have, and become a leader? Please take out the education. Actually, education is burdening them from not becoming a leader by instinct or by challenge. I think it's putting a comfort zone to them. I think so. Sabha sir, please address.
I'll put it actually differently. I often look at my own life, and I think that if I'd gone to business school, if I could read a balance sheet before I started my company, I would have been able to succeed 10 years earlier. Okay? And I may have not made the mistakes that I made along the way. So to discard education is not something that I'd ever recommend. I've learned on the job, and whenever someone's teaching me something, I'm the most avid student in the room. It doesn't matter who's teaching me and at what age. So I'm learning all the time. So let me be clear that I'm not discarding or disregarding education. The only thing I'll tell your students is that the only people who make mistakes are the people who try to do something. The only people who fail are the people who tried to succeed. Okay? And if every lesson you learn, every failure is converted into a lesson, you'll succeed. A failure is not the end of the world. It's only a lesson, sometimes that someone else is paying the price for. Okay? If you've got someone else to pay the price for it, and you still take it with huge responsibility, the chances of you succeeding will always be very high. Most people, when they get into positions of power or decision making, don't build their team with the smartest people in the room. They want people who listen to them, who won't challenge them. I'm the boss. How can you question what I'm telling you to do? This is my idea. This is what I want to do, etc., etc. And let me just tell you this. The one thing I'm always listening to is the questions that come from my team. Because they're real questions and they're things that I've ignored. The more I listen to them, the more I allow them to question me, the more I'm able to succeed because I'm covering my bases. And that is something that leaders must learn to incorporate into their style of functioning and what they're doing. And I'm sure there have been times when I've not listened to my team, and there are certainly those times when I've failed. And you don't listen to reason, you don't listen to anybody because you believe that you know and others don't know. Others can't see what you're able to see. And the day that happens, very often you will fail. And if I look back, the times I failed is because I refused to listen to others.
True, Sabha sir. True, very well, very well.
I can
said.
only share this from my own life and my own examples.
True.
And someday maybe I'll write the book on my failures, and you'll enjoy them more than the successes.
True, sir. True, true. Actually, absolutely. Very, very well emphasized, Sabha sir. Students, there was one question in the chat box, Chandrai. I think one student was asking, what's the difference between a boss and a leader? Mr. Sabas Joseph just answered that. I was just looking at the chat box. Boss and leader.
The boss is somebody who expects others
Correct.
to listen to them, and leader is somebody who listens to others and then follows their advice and then acts accordingly.
Absolutely, absolutely true. Yeah, Chandrai, go ahead. Chandrai, go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. I, Samad Jain, on behalf of Club IBS Messenger, would like to thank you for gracing us with your presence. We definitely believe in our team and let them be free. We have learned that we should formulate our strategy. And on a lighter note, your presentation had surely given motivation to the students to watch Game of Thrones. Are definitely going to help the budding managers at IBS in their journey ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, a special thanks from me, Sabah sir. It was so very, I would say exciting is the right word I can use, that I could feel how strategy and vision and planning and mission can be explained in so simple terms that the best of the corporate leaders would wish they knew it in their school. So great of you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The only other point I'll say when ending is that in everything you see, there is a lesson for you. I watch Game of Thrones to enjoy myself. And from that entire Game of Thrones, I suddenly learned a bunch of lessons, and that's what came here. You know, so don't look at just enjoyment or whatever else. There are lessons all around us. Keep drawing from them, keep drawing from the environment, because the environment is telling you something. Listen. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, we are coming close to the end of this beautiful evening. And I, Chandri Mitra, gives me immense pleasure and privilege to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of IBS Messenger. We take this golden opportunity to thank all the speakers for assembling here and honoring the event with their inspirational thoughts. We express our deepest gratitude for sparing your valuable time and gracing us with your presence. A special thanks to Professor G.K. Shrikant sir for his patience and presence for this event. Without you, sir, the event wouldn't have been successful. We would also like to extend our sincere thanks to Dr. Shailajan sir, Dean Academics, Student Activities Coordinator, Professor Madhvi Garikaparthi ma'am, and our club mentor, Madhusudan Rao sir, for their unending support and encouragement. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the clubs of IBS Hyderabad for participating and being a lovely audience. This is Club IBS Messenger signing off. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sabah sir, we wish to see you again. Please take out your time and do let us know when we can call you again.